Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. When we picture ancient Rome, we almost always imagine this cinematic ideal, right? Pristine, marble white columns reaching up into the sky, grand philosophers debating in perfectly ordered squares. It's a society that represents the absolute peak of ancient civilization, an immaculate, almost clinical image. But today, we're going to radically deconstruct that myth. We are stripping away that pristine marble facade to expose a profoundly gritty, really visceral reality hiding just beneath the surface. Because the truth is, the foundation of all that glittering perfection wasn't just built on stone and philosophy. It was maintained by a secret history so grotesque that it's literally going to change the way you look at the ancient world. I want you to take a second and picture the absolute height of high-status Roman life. Imagine a powerful patrician or a celebrated senator strutting through the bustling Roman forum. They're draped in this immaculately gleaming, stark white toga. They pause to speak to the crowds, flashing a brilliantly bright, flawless smile. It looks incredibly refined, and in Roman society, that impeccable appearance was essential social currency. Basically, looking clean meant you had power. But here is the fundamental question we have to ask ourselves. They didn't have modern bleach. They didn't have advanced synthetic laundry detergents, and they definitely didn't have the whitening toothpastes or fluoride rinses that we rely on every single morning. So how exactly did they maintain this grand illusion of purity? What was their highly sophisticated secret ingredient? Well, we are confronted here with a jarring paradox of sophistication. On one hand, you have the absolute epitome of high status and elegance. That gleaming white image was the very definition of Roman civilization. It's what set them apart from the people they conquered. But the true gritty cost of maintaining that image is staggering. To uphold that level of perceived perfection, the Romans had to rely on a massive visceral industry centered entirely around human waste. The elegant facade of this globe-spanning empire was actually held up by a stomach-turning level of ingenuity. It's the ultimate historical contradiction, really. The cleanest, most distinguished-looking people of the ancient world achieved their pristine status through the absolute dirtiest means imaginable. And that brings us to their highly prized secret weapon, their ultimate cleaning solution. The absolute bedrock of their hygiene routines was human urine. Yes, the most repulsive human byproduct you can possibly imagine was the exact tool they used to whiten their teeth and wash their luxury laundry. Just let that visceral bomb sink in for a second. Forget minty fresh, think public restroom. When that grand senator flashed his brilliant smile in the forum, his mouth had literally been rinsed with the bodily waste of his fellow citizens. It's incredibly shocking to our modern sensibilities, and it completely upends our idealized view of their daily routines. But to the Romans, this was just an undeniable fact of everyday life. But this isn't just the story about sheer disgust. It's actually a really brilliant, subversive scientific narrative. The Romans weren't just being grotesque for the sake of it. They were unknowingly tapping into some incredibly serious chemistry. You see, urine is naturally a highly nitrogen-rich fluid. When you let it sit and ferment over time, those nitrogen compounds, specifically urea, break down and undergo a chemical transformation. The waste converts into ammonia, and ammonia, as we know even today in our modern household cleaners, is an incredibly potent cleansing agent and solvent. So without having a modern periodic table or any deep understanding of molecular chemistry, the Romans basically discovered a powerful chemical solvent right from their own biology. That fermenting, highly pungent liquid was essentially a magical elixir for high society hygiene. The ammonia acted as a harsh but incredibly effective abrasive and alkaline solvent. When it came to oral care, it was literal chemical warfare on bacteria, dissolving dental plaque and lifting stains right off their teeth to give them those famous bright smiles. And when applied to clothing, the ammonia worked absolute miracles. It broke down the tough oils, the sweat, the dirt, and the grease trapped in the woolen fibers of their garments. It lifted those stains right out of the fabric, leaving those famous tunics and togas stark, dazzling white. They were literally using the chemical breakdown of human waste to achieve an unparalleled level of cleanliness. Now, this bizarre chemistry wasn't just left to chance either. It was institutionalized into a highly structured, albeit completely sensory overloading process. Step 1 required the organized collection of human waste. The Romans actually set up large public vessels on street corners specifically for citizens to relieve themselves into. Then came step 2, collecting those full pots and allowing the liquid to sit in massive vats to undergo that crucial fermentation, turning from mere waste into valuable stinging ammonia. And finally, step 3, actually utilizing that potent, eye-watering liquid for the intimate tasks of cleansing teeth and washing laundry. It's an incredible, highly coordinated logistical network driven entirely by the necessity of maintaining their societal image.
The absolutely crucial point here is that this wasn't just some quirky, isolated habit practiced by a few strange individuals in the shadows. This chemical reality drove a massive industrial loop across ancient Roman cities. Enter the Roman fullers, or fullonas. These were the ancient laundry workers who ran massive, bustling facilities called fulleries. They built an entirely sophisticated, recycled economy around this fluid. I mean, men would literally stand in large vats filled with clothing, water, and stale urine, just stomping on the garments to drive the ammonia through the fabric to clean it. It was an organized, empire-wide, heavily taxed effort, dedicated to transforming a repulsive byproduct into an absolutely essential, highly traded commodity that literally powered the aesthetics of an empire.
They essentially succeeded in turning the most repulsive human byproduct into liquid gold. And this matters so much for us to understand today because it frames this ancient paradox in a completely new light. This isn't just a gross history fact to laugh at, it's arguably an early extreme form of upcycling. The Romans looked at an unavoidable biological waste product, recognized its inherent chemical properties, and built a sustainable industrial tool right out of it. It proves that human ingenuity, especially when it comes to resourcefulness and pushing the boundaries of what's possible with the materials at hand, well, that's a deeply ancient trait. They found profound value in the utterly grotesque.
Which leaves us with a fascinating, kind of challenging question to close out our explainer today. If the Romans could build a sophisticated, empire-spanning economy by finding the hidden chemical value in something so visceral and repulsive, what repulsive modern byproducts might become tomorrow's liquid gold? What massive amounts of waste are we simply flushing away or burying right now that future generations will recognize as an invaluable, transformative resource? It really makes you rethink the hidden potential of everything around us. Definitely something to think about the next time you brush your teeth.